Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about clubs. And not the kind of club you hit somebody with, but groups of people that get together. They have similar ideas, similar activities. Here in Louisiana, we have a lot of clubs. Clubs for fishing people, golf people, chess people. We have art clubs and sports clubs. The thing about clubs is that you have to be a certain kind of person to get in. If it's a chess club, you gotta love chess. If you wanna be in the Saints Club now, you gotta be a Saints fan. Don't come to the Superdome wearing a Falcons jersey because you're not gonna fit into the club. Why? Because the Falcons is a different club. It's an inferior club and an evil club. But if you want to get into our club, you have to wear the right jersey. Well, I say that because in Paul's day, there was a very exclusive kind of club that I'm just going to call the God Club. And of course, we're talking about the Jews here, those who were descendants of Father Abraham. Now, there were two main rules for being a part of this club. Number one, you had to be circumcised. And number two, you needed to obey all the ritualistic laws of Moses. Got it? Circumcision and the law. That's how you get into the club. Now, imagine if you're not born a Jew, it makes finding God very difficult because these requirements were exhausting and very difficult. And it actually kept a lot of Gentiles out of the God Club. But a lot of Jews didn't care because those are the rules for getting into the club. Don't come in here trying to get into our club and not be wearing the right jersey. You look like a Gentile. And if you want to be part of this God Club, you gotta look and walk and talk like a Jew. So Paul is writing to this church in Rome, remember? And in this church, there are Gentiles and also there are Christian Jews. But how many of you know that sometimes old habits die hard? And sometimes it depends on how you were raised, and it's hard to break out of that. And some of these Christian Jews in these churches were just having a really hard time accepting these Gentile Christians who wanted to be part of this new God Club. But hey, these people look like Gentiles. And I'm not sure that we can let them in. And some of the Jews thought that, before we can let the Gentiles into this new Christian God Club, that, they need to be circumcised and they need to start following all the Jewish laws. And as Paul begins this new section in verse 9, he is addressing these issues. So let's look at it in verse 9. Does this blessedness, this delirious joy of being justified by faith alone, does this blessedness then come upon the circumcised only, or upon the uncircumcised also? What about the Gentiles standing over there with their Greek togas and their pork sandwiches? What about them? For we say that faith was accounted to Abraham for righteousness. Right, we remember that. He became right with God because he believed God way before there was even a law. Verse 10, how then was it accounted? Now, don't miss this. Paul is asking a really important question. He's asking, when in Abraham's life was he declared righteous? Was it while he was circumcised? Or was it before he was circumcised, while he was uncircumcised? He says, not while circumcised, but while uncircumcised, which means that Abraham was in the club before he was circumcised, before he started following the law. And Paul's saying that in order for Abraham to be righteous, circumcision was not a requirement. And Paul's saying here, look, God never required circumcision for Abraham to be righteous. You did that. You made all these requirements. And that's what religion does, doesn't it? Religion always makes getting to know God so difficult. You got to do something hard. You got to jump through some hoops. And if you can do all of these really painful works, then maybe, just maybe, you'll get in with God. That's what religion does. Now, somebody might ask, well, Abraham was circumcised eventually, right? And he was. Let's go to verse 11. And he received the sign of circumcision, a seal of the righteousness of the faith which he had while still uncircumcised. You see, circumcision was a sign of something that Abraham already had. It confirmed righteousness. It did not confer righteousness. And I'll say that one more time. Circumcision confirmed righteousness. It did not confer righteousness. And it's kind of like baptism for us, or really any of the good deeds that we do. It confirms righteousness. It doesn't confer righteousness. I'll give you just another example. I was sitting at Starbucks one day, and there was a couple, a guy and a girl sitting across the table from me, just being all sweet and affectionate, like, I love you more. No, I love you more. Well, you're the sweetest. No, you're the sweetest. And that kind of thing. Just making everybody nauseous in the shop. But they weren't doing those affectionate things to prove that they were in love. They did it because they were in love. It's a sign of something that already exists. I hope that makes sense. Let's continue in verse 11. That he, talking about Abraham, might be the father of not just the circumcised Jews, but all those who believe, though they are uncircumcised, that righteousness might be imputed to them also. Verse 12. And the father of circumcision, not leaving out the Jews here, to those who not only are of the circumcision, but who also walk in the steps of the, what's that word? Faith, which our father Abraham had while still uncircumcised. The real God Club, the true family of God, are the ones who simply believe God like Abraham did. So, Paul's dealt with the first rule of circumcision, but remember we said that there are two rules that the Jews had. The second rule is about following the Jewish law, and we'll deal with that one tomorrow. See you then.